All right, Mike, thank you. And Secretary Wright, it's great to speak with you today. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Morgan.
So
I'm here at Brookhaven National Lab on Long Island.
So let's start right there, because you are at Brookhaven National Laboratory. You just put out some news a little while ago about plans to work with and partner with more companies around nuclear fuel. What does that entail?
Yes, we've got to stand up the whole supply chain for nuclear in the United States. We really want to get nuclear going again. We've got to have reactor technologies here. We've got to have uranium enrichment, and we've got to have the ability to fabricate fuel that's going to be used in these next generation reactors. So 4 partner companies were picked that have technologies and interest to invest capital in nuclear fuel, and we're going to give them grants and work with them to stand up the nuclear fuel cycle right here in the United States.
I think a lot of Americans would be surprised to realize just how reliant the U.S. is on foreign sources of nuclear fuel, including Russia. So how quickly can you bring all of this capacity online?
Nothing in nuclear moves super fast, so we are going as aggressively as we can. It's going to be 2 or 3 years, not 2 or 3 months. I wish it was 2 or 3 months. But that we have just stagnated our nuclear industry for decades. I am highly convinced the Trump administration and our Department of Energy is making a rapid pivot. We're going to have shovels in the ground and things under construction. But unfortunately, we and Western Europe and East Asia are going to be dependent upon enriched uranium from Russia for 2 or 3 more years. I wish it was tomorrow that we didn't need a drop of it.
I mean, there's some reports circulating here in the last couple of days that the administration is considering a proposal to divert plutonium, which plays such a central role in U.S. nuclear weapons stockpile, which the Department of Energy also oversees, to private sector applications as well. Is there any veracity to that? How to think about it?
There is. You can use plutonium as a fuel in these, particularly these next generation reactors that use HALEU, a more highly enriched uranium. Of course, it's critical for our stockpile, but we have surplus plutonium. So that's a very real possibility. We're looking at anything we can do to accelerate the construction of nuclear reactors and to put new power on our grid. Nuclear is the second largest source of U.S. electricity, and it works 24/7, whether the wind is blowing or the sun is shining. So this is electricity that can drive down electricity prices and help us lead the AI race and reindustrialize our country.
It's interesting. We've seen a lot of investor appetite, both in public and private markets, around nuclear and other types of new technologies. I'm actually at the UP Summit here in Bentonville, Arkansas, and you have startups that are focused on fusion energy here as well. Billions of dollars in venture capital going into that possibility for the future, too. How to think about the mix, especially when it comes to working with states like New York, where you are right now, and where legislators are actually mapping out their own nuclear strategy today?
Yeah, so we'll do everything we can to help New York and any other state that wants to develop new nuclear capacity. There's great interest in that, including in here in New York. But even moving as fast as we can with nuclear, it's still several years away before these reactors come online. But in New York and in New England in general, more natural gas in the energy system can drive down electricity prices now and lower home heating costs. So there's huge upsides to do in the short run, and there's great ideas with nuclear in the medium term. We're for both of them. We're for anything that lowers electricity costs for Americans.
And of course, when we talk about the mix for electricity generation, we have to talk about coal and this strategy and investment plan that was issued by yourself and your colleague, Secretary Burgum, over at Department of Interior yesterday. We saw the coal stocks move on this news, too. What does it mean in terms of coal as a generator of electricity? I think there are a lot of folks out there that think maybe that's going backward instead of forward. How would you react to them?
Yeah, I think they've got the directions backward. We've seen that political motivation. Coal's out of fashion. We're going to get rid of coal plants. Governors across our country have been forcing the closure of coal plants. What's been the result? 25% price rise in electricity prices when President Biden was president in just 4 years. And we didn't grow our production of electricity. We didn't do anything to bring data centers or drive prices down or reindustrialize our country. In fact, President Trump got elected to stop the blackouts, stop the rise in electricity prices. Coal's the third leg of that triad. That's the backbone of our electricity system. Natural gas is our biggest supplier of electricity. Nuclear's number 2, coal's number 3. Those are what make our lights stay on. Those are what set our electricity prices. If we don't cannibalize them, force them to close, and make them turn on and off all the time with subsidized wind and solar. We're okay with wind and solar on the grid, but we got to stop the subsidies and we got to stop killing the reliable sources of electricity. Coal's not just electricity. Of course, it's also used in steel making, cement making, and other industrial activity. So absolutely, we're going to stop the penalization of coal, let it compete in the marketplace. 16% of U.S. electricity today. We need it.
And of course, critical minerals come out of the ground when you mine coal as well. And some of the best quality coal in the world is actually here in the U.S. and goes into some of these advanced manufacturing capabilities as well. Perhaps doesn't get talked about enough. So how do you see this mix, this energy mix continuing to evolve then, especially as there's this focus on both bringing energy prices down for consumers and businesses, and then, of course, making sure there is enough energy to meet the growing demand of the soaring compute capacity of the AI players as well?
No, so great question. So by our math, to have the U.S. lead in AI and start the reindustrialization of our country, we need to add about 100 gigawatts of firm capacity in the next 5 years. When I arrived and President Trump arrived in office, there was a plan over the next 5 years to shut 100 gigawatts of firm electric generating capacity and only build 22 gigawatts of new. So a net reduction of almost 80 gigawatts. We want a net addition of 100. So obviously, it is a dramatic pivot in electricity policy in this country. We're going to stop closing power plants that are still viable and critical to our economy today. And we're moving as quickly as we can to permit, build, and enable the rapid construction of as much new capacity as possible. Of course, we're going to run the grid smarter, too. Use backup generators that are sitting there. Get rid of silly air pollution laws that don't allow us to run reliable capacity that's sitting there today, sitting there idle while we have blackouts and brownouts and spiking electricity prices. So fortunately, with how wrong things were done, there's just massive room for improvement. But electricity grid is big and it's complicated, so it does take some time to make major changes.
How does the fact that the federal government is poised for a shutdown come midnight tonight affect this entire conversation and what you do at the Energy Department?
Oh, it's tricky. The president is keen, and I think working as hard as he can to keep the government open, keep everyone busily working on everything they're doing. That is absolutely our objective. What the Energy Department does is essential for people across the country. But look, the Democrats, I have 20 Senate-appointed people on my team. They only approved 2 of them until about a week ago. And in fact, they weren't going to approve any more. The Republicans in the Senate had to change the rules just to get my teammates with me to help energize America. So this obstructive behavior from the Democrats, it's not good for America, not good for Americans, and it's certainly not good for energy prices. So hopefully saner heads prevail, the government stays open, and we can all keep working 7 days a week to lower electricity prices.
Okay. Chris Wright, Secretary of the Department of Energy, thank you for joining me here on The Exchange. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Thanks for having me.